Get in, get your booster. Whether your boss is on your back to do it or you just want to be protected against the Omicron variant, go get it. All right, it's absolutely free. 7-Eleven now. Senator Sabina Perez, she's the oversight chair for Department of Labor, Rev and Tax, Guam EPA, and Procurement. She's joining us here on the link on what will likely be her last appearance on this show in 2021. So thank you and good morning, Senator Sabina.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning to the listening audience. Thank you for having me.
Of course. First of all, I wanted to kind of start because man, there's just been a lot of stuff happening on your committees, and so I wanted to start with this gaming devices ruling that came out of the Supreme Court. I mean, I'm pretty happy about this. I just think the game rooms they got to go, and I think it's really inconsistent that we're so opposed to gambling yet for some reason. And I believe it's because they've got a lot of access to our politicians, not you. The game rooms and the cockfighting are allowed to thrive, and not just thrive, but to really prosper under this administration. So I think that's it's very hypocritical. But this Supreme Court ruling basically said death to the Liberty machines, Senator, and so I'm happy about this ruling, but at the same time, I know that these game rooms and these gambling, the gambling mafia on Guam, they will do whatever it takes to keep the game alive. So, in your opinion, your estimation, and talking with Rev and Tax, like, is this really the end of Liberty machines on Guam?
It appears so. I know that there is still the court rulings or court proceedings still have to. There is still an opportunity to reconsider the decision by the Supreme Court, but I feel that the decision was made impartially and fair. I think that, at this point, DRT with the Office of the Attorney General, I guess, depending on what pans out in the next couple of days, that they would have to enforce the law. So. Yeah, I think that it's important in this day and age of transparency that all rules and regulations need to follow the Administrative Adjudication Act, and which requires public input and the So I mean that is something that needs to be followed, and I agree with the decision.
I wanted to kind of go back because I know that the AG filed suit on this when he was elected, right? And so there was a statement out of Adelup from Crystal Pacos and Augustine that said the Leon Guerrero administration began its policy not to move forward with approving the operations of the machines when the Guam Superior Court ruled in March 2020 the licenses were illegally issued. So, in your opinion, do you think they knowingly issued illegal licenses?
Oh, I wouldn't. I would have to go back and look at the information to make that determination. But I think it was that it was important that the licenses were not issued at that time. And now we have the Supreme Court deciding that these are illegal. So whatever action needs to be taken, that's an executive branch function. So enforcement needs to be done.
Right, Senator. And then on that note, I know there's a press conference today with this Animal Wellness Action Group. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Mr. Wayne Pacelli, who continues his crusade against cockfighting on the island of Guam. But there was an interesting revelation, and I can't recall if we had you on. And this is relative to a viral WhatsApp message that was going around about the Dedido cockpit starting their operation on the new year. And anyway, it was just this flyer, and it was like all these different, derbies for this much money. And so when I reached out to Rev and Tax and said, hey, how do you guys regulate this operation and all this money that's going and coming out of the cockfighting? And they basically said, oh, it's federally illegal, so we have no role in enforcing or regulating it, which I took to mean that there's a whole lot of money that's just totally unaccounted for. And we're not getting anything out of it. So again, I just got to go back to it's just kind of bizarre to me that we let this slide. And I think the governor, I don't know if it was us or another media had got the governor, and she said, oh, it's up to the feds to enforce it. So, you know what I mean? I just feel like there's this whole underground economy with the gambling and the cockfighting that's just, I mean, it's unaccounted for. Comment on that?
Yeah. Yeah, so currently cockfighting is legal, and so that is
Is
um,
legal?
it is still legal. Yeah, it's still legal, and so this would have to be, um, because it is a legal activity currently in Guam law. It should be taxed, right? This is an economy that needs to be taxed. If it's still, yeah, since it's currently legal according to Guam law. But yes, I think revisiting that, that's a huge issue to regards to whether it should remain legal according to Guam law, right? I know, um, when the animal welfare law was passed last term, um, that's one of the things that was questioned, but it seems that there's, yeah, that's something that we can revisit for sure in the upcoming year.
What about Reverend Tax in general, Senator? Any other issues out of DRT that you're aware of or keeping abreast of?
Well, yes, the tobacco tax, of course. Since I last spoke with DRT, they are looking at other solutions to the procurement. So, uh, yeah, the update was that they did release the bid stateside, and so now they're looking to see if they can work with Hawaii uh, to perhaps procure with them or have some sort of a MOU to procure these stamps. I think that's what's critical in order to enforce tobacco taxes, that stamps need to be implemented in order to ensure everybody's paying their fair share. So that is an important step that needs to be done.
Also wanted to get a comment from you, Senator, about all these goings on at Department of Labor. Right, is I know that they're having a hard time collecting these overpayments, the PUA overpayments.
Yeah, so that was a surprise to me to see the number because in the informational hearing that I had in October, the number was much lower as far as overpayments. And then to see that it was at 31 million, up to 31, almost 31 million, and it was reduced down to 23 million. So yeah, the overpayments are huge, but according to, and they would have to definitely follow whatever U.S. Department of Labor requires. They have to comply with the rules. So in order to waive any overpayment, there is a process, and there's certain guidance for when the fraud should not have taken place, for them to be even allowed to get a waiver for the paying back of the claim. So I believe the deadline for request for waiver has passed. And so it's really the discussions now are between U.S. Department of Labor and Guam Department of Labor to see what guidance there is now for the collections. So I guess it's a wait and see situation. As far as what's going to transpire out of those conversations.
Yeah, I mean I mean I'm very familiar with this because I actually know a few people reached out to me because they got overpaid by PUA. But Senator, I'm talking about like a couple situations where they were out of work, they filed, they got paid X amount of dollars for I mean in one case I know the guy was paid for like 6-7 months. And then he got a letter saying we overpaid you. You owe us like whatever 30,000 or some amount that obviously someone who's out of work could never afford to pay back. So where does it become like DOL's mess up?
Yeah, so in those situations, those should that's a valid case. If you're affected by PUA, that I guess the facts would have to speak for themselves. I mean that situation I believe is one that it seems to have the based on that information alone, if the person was affected by PUA and there wasn't any and they were out of work, if that could be substantiated, if the documents are there. So I think what's critical is having the documents to substantiate that. I think that's what's critical. But in those cases, I mean, if it is truly, the person was affected, that is that seems to be a potential waivable case, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was an old guy too. It was an old man, and there was a few of these cases where it's like people got the pool and they were, skating along, and then for whatever reason they were approved for it. It ended up DOL screwed up, and then the recipient gets stuck with the bill. So I
Mhm.
mean, I'm pretty sure there's some cases where it's just straight up fraud or whatever, but I mean, those are the ones that I've heard about. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and I understand if if the if the implementation of the program, what that I could see perhaps, but
yeah,
yeah, without having full guidance from
yeah,
USDL.
yeah. But at the same time, Senator, we above step recruited somebody to run that program. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
On that
a
note,
lot of.
I want to catch up with you on a story I did, and I feel like it was just lost in the rush up to Christmas. Uh, KUAM.com, guys. Check our website. Download the KUAM News app. That's how I view KUAM on my phone. It's so convenient and easy. Governor skips the merit system. Plans to appoint cabinet member into a classified position. Senator, I don't know if you saw this story. I forget if I sent it to you. But let me just kind of read through it real quick because this to me was like my head almost blew off. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Governor Lulian Guerrero said she has appointed a cabinet member to a classified position, which begs the question, what about the merit system? It's the latest above step recruitment making waves. The public health in a release said it intends to hire Department of Youth Affairs Deputy Director and Lou and Josh cabinet member Crescinda Uggan at an above step salary, with public health spokesperson Janela Carrera telling KUAM News there were other applicants for the Human Services Administrator position Uggan applied for. And both Carrera and Adelup Communications Director Crystal Paco San Augustine also telling KUAM Uggan's hiring was not final, but that's not what we heard from the governor. The governor, of course, saying that Uggan has been appointed to this position, which, mind you, is classified. The action taken by the governor appears to fly in the face of the merit system, which aims to keep government hiring from becoming a political spoil system. How's that working out? The merit system, legally defined as the practice of hiring and promoting employees based on their competence rather than political favoritism. Classified employees are subject to the merit system and have more job security than unclassified political hires who often lose their jobs when their governor loses an election. As reported, Uggan is the sister of the governor's chief of staff, John Jr. Calvo. Her father is Juan Calvo, the chairman of the Civil Service Commission, and her husband, Tony Uggan, has been detailed to public health as the acting HR administrator. Even though public health should be the official hiring authority for its classified applicants, the governor told KUAM she made the call to hire Uggan. Quote, I know there's a big criticism about Crescinda there, and I have to defend my decision to appoint Crescinda into that job, the governor said. She's going to be the administrator of the Division of Child Wellness Program in Public Health. If you look at her resume, she's very competent. She has a bachelor's of arts degree in childcare, and she's worked in a children environment. And she goes on to defend it, saying there's no bad things or irregular or illegal things that are happening. No way, the governor said. I want the people of Guam to know that our administration we are on top, we are transparent, and that is what we want to do to give the people the service they deserve. And she went on to say above set recruitment's been around since day one. They didn't invent it, right? But I mean, Senator, this is a classified position, right? So I don't know what. Can you imagine if you applied for a job and other people apply for the job, and then you click on KUAM News and the governor's saying, oh, I appointed this person to this job that you applied for? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the merit system, and that I agree. It should go through the normal process of the application process. Appointing a classified position, that's the first time I've heard of that, really. And that's the yeah, that's to me doesn't seem right, to appoint someone to a classified position. Everybody should have an equal opportunity to to apply for a position, and I think that just if we want to promote a fair society, this is we have to look at this our practices and reform them. I think I've always been one to look at the long term, for Guam. What's going to be best for Guam in the long term, and I think it's important that we, especially government, we have to be models for what we want in our society, and being fair and being equitable to our people. I think that's so important.
Right.
Um, Yeah, so that's the that's a legacy that we need to work on is ensuring equitable equal equality for everybody.
I wanted to follow up here. Do you have any follow up on the abandoned vehicles and the pickup and the AG's office and the status of the MOU?
I don't have any updates on that at this time, so I can look into that. Yeah, I'm not. I can follow up with that.
Okay, and then lastly, I wanted to. We got the governor on these commemorative pins. Right. Have you? I know there was something in the paper about it. We got the governor late yesterday afternoon on it, but it's these commemorative COVID-19 pins that some, a special group is what the wording was, a special group of government employees who worked during the pandemic, and even some who teleworked, are getting these commemorative COVID-19 pins. The problem is, well, I'm sure if you heard yesterday, it's like I know DYA got them, GPA didn't get them. DYA got them, but then GPD only got them yesterday, and so now it's just created this big thing where you have some government employees who have got them already, others who are saying, "Hey, what about us?" And then the administration saying, "Oh, don't worry, everyone's going to get one." But I was curious about the procurement of this because I think it was reported that they had procured these pins, and we're still waiting on the documents through the method where they received three quotes or something. And you being the procurement chair, I mean, does that sound like it passes muster to you, or do you need to get more info on it?
Yeah, I would have to get more information on that. I'm not sure if it's yeah, was it emergency procurement or small purchase procurement? Um, yeah, and what were the who were the bidders, right? So I do have a bill right now currently to update and strengthen small purchase procurement. So one of the things I wanted to clarify is that those quotes would have to be positive quotes and not accepting a no quote as one of the three quotes. So that's one of the things, and especially from qualified sources. So I want to ensure that when an agency goes out to purchase things, that they are looking for qualified sources to bid on it. So I think that's really critical to if we want to ensure transparency in how we're spending government funds and protecting, making sure that we're getting the best value. First of all, it would also help businesses to provide revenue for them and also give the more opportunities to those businesses out there.
Right.
I think it's again, it's about promoting and establishing a fair society, right, in the long term. And I think procurement is one of those ways to do it. And especially now with the federal subsidies drying out, right, we want to make sure that we are, making sure our dollar goes further. And so, yeah, this is really a critical practice, I think.
And with the small purchases, I know that a lot of agencies report them to the legislature, but not really a lot of detail there. Is there anything in your bill about like more stringent reporting requirements?
Yeah, really, it makes it clear that all agencies would have to report. So you're right. We don't see small purchase reports from all the agencies. Um, only some are complying, but this makes it really clear that all agencies, even the autonomous agencies, have to report. Um, what this legislation would do, it would require all agencies to report any small purchase and it also would become part of the record, procurement record.
Do you think there's abuse going on with the small purchases?
Well, this idea came from constituents. They're actually business owners, and they recommended. They talked about when they first started out in business, it was very hard to get their foot in the door, and they saw this as it could go against them, but they were very gracious enough to provide this advice that perhaps this isn't one area that needs transparency. To allow for enterprising people out there that want to basically compete for these contracts. And you can make a living off small purchases. $15,000 for services and supplies for one contract, right? Up to $15,000. up to 100,000 for construction. So this can really open it up to more vendors out there if the process is fair and equitable.
I kind of want to go back to
government money too.
right, yeah, and I mean with the avalanche of federal money, and we've seen, I mean, based on your great work that you've done with procurement during this pandemic, kudos, you've done a great job. Really trying to nail down this procurement and close a lot of these loopholes that are big enough to drive golf carts through.
Yeah, it's also going to require execution too. It's going to require execution on the part of agencies. Yeah, so change needs time,
Yeah.
and and compliance is essential to make these laws really work for us.
Right.
But yes, it's yeah, that was something that I think was critical if we're going to ensure that it's all about sustainability, right? Sustainability. We have to be better stewards of the public finances and protecting the public interest. And yeah, I think that's, even though I focus a lot on the environment, I think sustainability encompasses finances of government.
Right, agree. Senator, I want to go back to the above step recruitment where the governor said she appointed Crescinda Uggan, the DYA deputy director, to the new position. Do you think it was a case where the governor just didn't know what she was talking about or realize what she was talking about? And maybe she misspoke, but
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
possible. It's yeah. I mean, I could see that it could be possible misspeaking.
but don't you think that that indicates that there's interference with that process for that job selection when you have I mean, she's the governor. She is the governor. She went on the news and said, I appointed her to that position because she has a bachelor's of arts degree. And it's huge. You know, she's the governor. If the governor says it, that's law. You might as well put it in the Bible. You know what I mean? Whether or not she misspoke. And I know if I
Yeah,
applied for that job, I would be like, what the hell? I'd get an attorney. Totally.
yeah. Again, I think we need to do a better job in government to um, create more equity and fairness in all aspects. Whether it's purchasing or hiring. Yeah, it is demoralizing. It could be demoralizing, right, for those that are following the rules, and we need to make sure that that we're consistent. I think that's important. That consistency is important.
Looking ahead to the new year, Senator, I know that you've got a very big committee with a lot of great agencies under them. What's your vision for your oversight with DRT, DOL, Guam EPA, procurement for the upcoming new year?
Yeah, so with DRT, there's a lot of statutes that need to be updated, and that also impacts compliance. So that's really critical, I think, to make sure that we're up to date with these laws. And two, it also allows us to be more innovative when it comes to any kind of policy. So I'm looking to update, certain laws that can help us, retain the wealth of Guam. Really, I'm really concerned about the amount of borrowing that we're doing, and looking for other solutions so that there's less capital flight. I know these are big ideas, and it is going to be a challenge trying to kind of draft legislation to effectuate that type of change. But that's kind of like the vision that I have. With Department of Labor, I'm looking to reinvigorate apprenticeship programs. I think this is underutilized and a hidden gem in our economic recovery from the pandemic. I've said this many times that there are over 1,000 trade positions recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor. On Guam, there's 314, but that could be amended based on public participation. But really, I see that as an important tool to getting our people back to work, especially at this time, as well as kind of re-engineering, education too. I really want to encourage pre-apprenticeships within the high schools. With pre-apprenticeships, students can actually get a job after high school upon graduation, should they successfully complete it. I think this is a huge thing that needs to be really implemented. And as far as the environment goes, of course, there's laws that need to be strengthened. I'm very concerned about pollution, contamination issues from the open burn, open detonation. I think that's really critical that if we can prevent the contamination from that. Also, looking at PFAS, the emerging contaminants. It's a forever chemical, and it's really important that it causes a lot of health effects from elevated cholesterol, thyroid problems, immune problems. We need to really strengthen our laws to limit our exposure to these contaminants. Those are just a couple of the ideas that I'm working on. And there's so much to do, really. It's like an onion. You peel one layer, there's more underneath it,
and then
right?
you cry. It's like an onion. You keep peeling layers, and it makes you cry. Senator, are you running for re-election?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Right on. Well, thank you for your service, and I think you deserve a pin. I mean, did you work during the pandemic? I think you did. So we're going to put a pin in it. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you so much.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Right on. That's Senator Sabina Perez. She's a Democrat. She's the oversight chair for Department of Labor, Rev and Tax, Guam EPA, General Services Agency on the procurement. 7:38. Quick break, and we're coming